Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Let me try to get started. So today we are talking about petabyte-scale on-chain insight. We're actually getting from the block to the insights in minutes. Before we start, let's actually get into two numbers tell incredible stories. 10 years ago, the entire crypto market was worth around $3.8 billion. Do you see the mouse cursor? Sorry. You guys see that $3.8 billion on the left-hand side there, right? And today, as you can see, we are looking for the capitalization of the whole market, $3.4 trillion. That's 900-fold increase in a single decade. But this isn't just a number on the chart. It is a fundamental shift of the financial infrastructures. To put that into the perspective, one part of the crypto ecosystem, stablecoins, already actually move more value than the payment giants like Visa. Even if the growth rate is halved in the coming years, the projection actually shows it will become a 30 trillion ecosystem by 2030, with tenfold increase of activity as well. So that's a fairly big number. Here, what we are actually witnessing is a birth of a new financial backbone. We actually call that on-chain. Understanding the data flowing through these backbones is the entire focus of the discussion today. So when we're talking about multi-trillion dollars market, it isn't just theoretical. It is already actually making the massive impact to the world. Let's look at the evidence. This chart actually shows what happens over the past 7 years. The dark bar representing the transaction volume of stablecoins, the digital dollar move on the blockchains, the green bar represents the Visa payment volume. Take it for granted, the dark bar, it is a stablecoin. It is not just a payment, but also include the investment activity as well. Regardless, you can see that there's exposure or explosive growth. But the real headline is not just about the growth. It actually shows the arrival of a new kind of financial backbone, one that always on, programmable, and borderless, where the money actually moves at the speed of software, which is speed of light, in my opinion. It is happening in the incredible scale, as you can see. Stablecoins settle more value than Visas processing around the worldwide. This is the stablecoin is the same kind of money. It's just new and move on the much more efficient railing on the on-chain. But that leads to a critical questions highlight here. With all these value emotions, is that a radar? Is that a watcher actually for this new backbone? That's the challenge we need to address. So, is that a radar that actually watching this? To be honest, for the most of the time, it doesn't exist. And this lack of the visibility is precisely why, in my personal opinion, the next financial crisis will be happening on-chain. Now, for anyone that new to the space, when I say on-chain, there's no hyphen in between. I am referring to the transaction of the data that happening and stored directly on the public ledgers and make it immutable and transparent. The data is all public, but it is incredibly complex. The scale is just the first part of the problem. And we are also on the trajectories for at least 10x of the increase in the on-chain activity and potentially another 20 trillion additional dollars of the value that tokenized on the financial assets by 2030 as well. According to ChatGPT, I did that yesterday, the aggregated top public blockchains, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoins, all these EVM L2, Tons, Sui, and Aptos, etc. You are looking on the theoretical upbound limit. It is about 800K transactions per second. At the peak time, the data representing 1 to 3 gigabits per second of the structural data getting into the backbone. To put that into the perspective as well, on the Black Friday, Visa on average is doing 9,000 transactions per second. So, for this new financial backbone, as you can see, it is faster, much more functions, and give you a lot of the data. And the regulator and the financial data gurus already actually putting their eyes on it. They take a close look on it. As you can see that like, there will be some new regulation coming up. The stablecoin, which is the Genius Act, if you Google that, that's just coming out there. And this is a clear signal that the days of the light oversight are coming to the end. So in conclusions, we have a massive, high-speed, and complex data environment with trillions of dollars at stake. And that creates perfect storm for risk and alpha. Everything we have shown so far point to one paradox. There has never been more transparency. Every single transaction is on-chain, every liquidity pool on-chain, every action on-chain, every smart contract actually on-chain. You can see that in real time. And yet, decision makers are flying blind. Some of my friends, they are chief risk officer, they actually telling me about one thing that's very classic. They say, we see everything, but we know nothing. If we actually try to put this differently, right? I try to summarize a little bit. We are being drowned in the raw transaction data, but starting for the things that actually matters. For example, some of the questions actually asking is, if a particular account or wallet actually dealing with the illicit actors, who are our customer exposing to? Are they actually sending the money to some places that shouldn't be allowed it? And why? And also, like, which DeFi protocol it is being leveraged by the creditable user, etc. Right? So over that, the flood versus flood my problem is exactly what CipherOwl leveraging Databricks to solve. Let's unpack that one by one. CipherOwl, you can actually consider CipherOwl as an AI native intelligent layer that sits directly on top of every public major blockchain data. We believe in data is a core, and our entire platform is designed from ground up and turn the raw data into the decisive advantage. We deliver speed. We turn the raw blocks into the critical insights under 5 minutes. We operate at massive scale, the petabyte of the data. And just give you one thing, one example for that, we score 3 billion plus addresses a day, multiple times. The whole world population is around 7 billion populations. And it's pretty sophisticated. We run advanced algorithm like clustering, and then we try to group a bunch of the address together, and then we define it as an actor, and then we run algorithm on top. And we also provide full chain coverage across all the major networks, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Aptos, etc. In short, we provide the radar, we provide the observability to understanding these new financial rails in near real time. Okay, so we explained why we build CipherOwl and what we do. And now let's get to the rest of the talk, the core part of the talk. I want to show you exactly how we build these intelligent layers with Databricks. First, we start with the data foundations, ingestion, transformation, and the data governance. And second, we will look into the experiment, development, and intelligent flow to actually build the core stuff. And finally, we will get into the broader ecosystem, how we leverage and boosting them with the tools. So let's get started. So wow, that's complicated. So let's look at the architecture diagram that's powering everything here. Our core philosophy is pretty simple. Intelligence equal to data multiplied by AI. And this diagram shows how we are making the equation realities. The first component actually for that is the ingestions. It started with the raw data. We pull the data from the node farm, which is, you can consider that as a blockchain software itself. We actually pull that and pull this data, the raw data, into our system, ChainStorage and Transformer. Both of them are open source. That's an ingestion system. And store, this data actually land on the Databricks Delta Lake, where it refined it as a raw, as a bronze table, and then slowly getting into the silver table, which is the refinement itself. And on the intelligence, that's the store. And on the intelligence, the clean data actually feed into the AI, into the model, into the different series database, etc., so that to actually building the thing that for the vertical business itself. And finally, the intelligence layer being served as an API and the UI, and then getting into the application itself. The Databricks, as you can see that the Databricks lakehouse itself is as a core part of our entire stack. And let's actually dive in. So let's double click on the first step for the ingestion itself. To build a true intelligent layer, we have to master two very different and challenging data streams, on-chain and off-chain. First, let's take a look at the on-chain data stream here. We have handled many, many different networks. Each of them have its own protocol standards, and it has its own finality as well. So some of the network actually producing a block every 200 ms, some of them produce every 50 minutes, but they have different kind of finality characteristic as well. We also actually manage the technology bottleneck. We also need to actually go around the technology bottleneck, which is reading the data from the RPC. And then the second vertical for that is the off-chain data, which provide the critical context actually for us to understand what happened on-chain. This data is not too big. It is probably a couple hundred gig of the data, and it actually comes to mini batch every day. The challenge for this data is this set of data is incredibly noisy, and then some of them coming in the structural, and some of them it is just purely images and maybe screenshots. And the fundamental challenge is to build the robust ingest system to handle both of these streams and to put that into our system contiguously in the high reliable way. We now actually focus on the on-chain system here, how we actually solve the problem for that. We use a combination of the powerful open source tooling and the Databricks platform together. For the initial data extraction and the ingestion, we use ChainStorage. This is a mature enterprise-grade open source project that power the crypto data infra for both CipherOwl and Coinbase. And we are a major contributor for that. It gives us the 1,000x of the performance, especially for the read-out speed that allowed us to read and process data in an incredible speed. And also, it is pretty data storage efficient comparing to the traditional GC because it used the Z standard compression as well. The real business impact it is the agility itself. It enables us to ingest the whole blockchain to get the blockchain ready in 2 weeks, comparing the traditional method is in months. And once the data actually floating into the Delta table, and then we manage our pipeline in the decoratively. No cron job, we do not have any cron job, and just the Delta Lake table here. And the result is a contiguous streams of the schema consistent bronze data. They're all on-chain data. They are ready for the refinement itself. And once we have the bronze data, we now talk about the transformation, the T. The ingestion actually getting the data into the lighthouse. The transformation actually turning them into something that every analysis want to actually can query about. For our on-chain data, we use thing called Transformer V2. Essentially, it is a Spark connectors. Its job is to getting the data into getting the data from ChainStorage, which is per blockchain specific format, and convert them into the standard blockchain format that we want to do that. Comparing to V1, we use a special trick here. We use a Proton, Databricks Proton as a compute because it's elastic, it's very convenient. And for the V2, we run the transformer as a sidecar within the Proton box. That actually gives us 5x of the ROI, 5x better performance comparing to a RPC service itself. For off-chain data, the data size is not big, but the challenge for that is it's incredibly noisy, and then we need to actually merge them into a unified schema, unified semantic layer as well. For here, we use Databricks AI and plus, I think almost all the major vendors' models, the LLM model, we actually train them into a workflow, and then we purify the data. We actually get them in place into a high-quality data stream. This transformation step is what creates a clean data foundation required to build true on-chain intelligence. So now we have the clean, standardized data in our lakehouse. We can actually move to more exciting part, build the intelligence itself. This is what enables our team to iterate quick and safely, which is a strong win for our developer experience. Our team actually work in Databricks notebook enhanced with AI itself to develop complex enrichment like wallet clustering, risk score, as well as alpha digging, etc. So the game changer for these parties, we can always actually test the data against the full data sets. If you really look into the table itself, we pretty much actually reduce the work from 20 days actually to 20 days thanks for the elastic nature of the photon itself. We can actually run a lot of tests at the same time, and then in parallel, that actually give us the opportunity to experiment fearlessly. So when we have a model that actually works, and then we get to the back testing, and we need to actually making sure it is safe and sound. We use a notebook to job promotion pipeline using Circle CI. You can see that a GitHub push, and then we get to the Circle CI to execute the job, and then get that into the Databricks bundle, and get the job actually working in 15 minutes itself. Once the model live, and then we continue to actually monitor by a bunch of the Databricks monitoring job there to ensure the data quality is fine. And we also actually have an automated scorecard for the driven alert as well. So that's how we actually getting the data into the production and continue to monitor them. We are a data business. We are a data business. Operating at this scale requires more than just speed. It requires a platform that everyone can trust. For us, robust governance is the key here. First, we use quite a lot of we have the control access. We are the global team. We need to have different permissions, and we use granular ACL, the data governance part on the Unity catalog here. Along with that, we have the row-level security and column master, etc. And second, we manage the life cycle of our data. We have all the expiration date. We actually delete the dev test data automatically and some of the sensitive data automatically as well. And then the third part for that is we log everything. We actually have we ensure the auditability end-to-end data lineage and for the whole data pipeline itself. That will help us to answer the question who, when, access what. And the last but not least, we handle the change safely. And the Delta Lake actually provide version table as well. And this version table allow us not to break the downstream. So this comprehensive approach allowed us to implement the data governance actually fairly fast. And then we have the SOC 2 Type 2 done in, say, 8 months as a startup. That's for the ecosystem part, right? To get the best intelligence, we use the best tool. Our strategy for that is putting all the data on one lake, and we use StarRocks to serve the data, and we use public graph on top of the lake to actually answer the graph-related problem. And then we use DuckDB as an embedded database embedded into our workflow that will accelerate a lot of the execution for that. This ability to use the right tool for any questions that on a single data source is the truth power that actually give us for the Delta Lake. I think that's the last bit. Business impact. So what is the business impact for that? It boils down to the key wins, the agilities and the compliance. For the agility, we cut the time by 90%. And then we can actually move the speed of the market. And then the second part for that is we can restore 3 billion of addresses every day, multiple times. And that gives us an incredible scale as well. So the third part, that's we are a data business. We need to actually make sure that we have the compliance in place, and then with the Delta Lake unique catalog, that makes the things actually much easier. So this combines the speed, scale, and the trust. This is how we as a startup to win. And yeah, thanks a lot for that. And that's the talk, and then how we actually build the intelligent layers for the future finance. Yeah, thanks.